Welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast. Here is Monir El Azzouzi from easymedicaldevice.com, and today we'll talk about MDSAP or MDSAP as people are willing to say. So mainly MDSAP is mainly the certification program that is needed for you if you are selling in specific countries. I mean, you can need it or not need it at all, and I will explain you today what it is exactly and how it is working. But mainly, this is something that more and more people are asking me, asking other consultants also, how they can be MDSAP certified, if we can help them to become MDSAP certified. So this is mainly the thing that is really important to, if I can say, understand, so that you can decide. It means that if you don't know what it is, you can still continue to make business, but this is something that will help you. So this is mainly what we want. I wanted to say here before we can really start. So mainly when we talk about MDSAP, what are we talking about? So first, what does it mean, MDSAP? So the acronyms MDSAP. MDSAP means Medical Device Single Audit Program. So this is a program that is used so you can have only one audit to register or to be qualified to register your products in many different countries. I mean, many. We have only 5, so for the moment. So this is mainly a program where you get audited like your normal audits that you are doing, but then as soon as you get audited, then if you get your MDSAP certificate, you can be qualified to register your products, for example, in the US or in Canada, etc. So this is mainly the reason why this can be fine. But if you are not MDSAP certified, you can still register in some countries. There is one country that is where it's mandatory, MDSAP. But for the other countries, it's like you can start to register within those countries without any problem. But it will be one registration per country. And also, this will avoid the thing that, if I can say, can happen is that if you are registering individually in each country, the point is mainly about the auditing, so the audit. So why I'm saying that? When you are registering, for example, within Brazil with Anvisa, then normally Anvisa puts you in their audit program, which means that maybe every 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they can come and audit you directly. Here with the MDSAP program, the idea is mainly that if a country that is registered within MDSAP is asking you to come to audit you, you can say to them, hey, I am MDSAP certified, here is my certificate, there is no need for you to come to audit us. This will avoid US or FDA, US FDA or Anvisa or any other country to come to audit you during the same year, for example, which can happen. It happens to us a lot, so in some of the companies to get within the same years many countries that comes to audit them. But now that they have MDSAP program, MDSAP certification, so they don't need anymore to, if I can say, go through all those audits. They just show their certificate and then it's fine. Okay, so now that I explained to you a bit the overview of what is MDSAP, so which countries are really integrated inside MDSAP, which countries agreed to be on the MDSAP program and then to accept the fact that there is one audit that will be done by an organization, and this audit will be avoiding those countries to come to audit you again there. So the first country is Australia, so TGA. Mainly if you are selling your products in Australia, then TGA accepts the MDSAP certificate. We have also Brazil with Anvisa. We have Japan with PMDA. We have the US FDA also, and we have Canada. Why I'm putting Canada at the end? Because for Canada, it is mandatory. It's not like a question. Even if you are going just to sell your products within Canada, you have to have an MDSAP certificate. So this is mainly their rule since 2019, if I remember, 2020, I can't remember when exactly it started. I think 2019. They asked you specifically to have an MDSAP certificate so that you can sell your products in Canada. If you don't have this certificate, you cannot be qualified to register your products in Canada. So this is why you have to define a strategy here. If you go for Canada, there is no choice, you have to have it. If you don't go for Canada, if you go just for US and maybe for Brazil, then maybe you go for MDSAP or you don't go for MDSAP. It's your your choice here. In terms of the regulatory or quality aspect of those requirements that are within the program. So MDSAP integrates first the ISO 13485, which means that it's integrated inside. All the requirements for ISO 13485 are already integrated inside the MDSAP, which means that, yeah, you should be familiar with ISO 13485. Maybe you already have an ISO 13485 certificate. So if you have an ISO 13485 certificate, it's not kind of an excuse. It's not kind of a sesame for you to say, oh, I am ISO 13485, so I will not go for MDSAP, or I can be qualified for MDSAP. No. MDSAP is a separate program, so it means that even if you have already a certificate, you have to redo a certification program with MDSAP with the ISO 13485 requirements. So there is the ISO 13485 requirement plus country-specific requirements. So this is mainly the division, if I can say. If you are ISO 13485, it's good for you because then your procedures are mainly okay for MDSAP. But then you have specific country requirements. It means that what? It means that each country will come and say, for my country, here is the new requirement. For this country, here is the new requirements, etc., etc. So this is mainly the thing that can make you update your procedures because, yeah, ISO 13485 is not sufficient. If you go to a certain country, they will say to you, you need this or you need that. So this is mainly the difficulty that some countries have, because some manufacturers have, because they say, oh, I have a procedure for that. But when we tell them, yes, but this country asks this additional requirements, which is worse than what you have on your procedure, then we have to update all your procedure, then we have to update a lot of things. This can make things a bit more difficult for them. So, and what if, for example, you are not selling, you don't want to sell, or you are not planning to sell your products in Japan? Then within your application, you just say, I'm not qualifying, I'm not making the MDSAP for Japan, I'm making it for the other countries because I'm already selling there. But Japan is excluded from that because many will not oblige you, if I can say, to follow Japanese requirements when you are not doing that. But if you can integrate already the requirements from Japan, for example, can be also helpful in case you are planning to go there. But for example, on the MDSAP program, if you say, I want to go to Japan, they will ask you, show me that you have registered your products in Japan, show me that you have followed the rules of Japan, show me that, etc., etc. So if you are not planning at all to go to Japan, so then maybe it's something that you can really put aside and then go only for the other countries that you are really targeting. Okay, so now that we have a good understanding of all the process, what is included, what is really, which country are there, I wanted to look at what are exactly those requirements that we talk about for MDSAP. So you have to understand that I mean, from what I see for the application, what we have done, from how I helped, if I can say, some other companies to be MDSAP certified, it's really transparent, if I can say. Let's say that. It's really transparent because there is a lot of guidance, a lot of documents, a lot of things that are provided to you that help you to exactly understand which question they will ask you, which requirements you have to follow, everything. So it means that if you are really preparing yourself correctly, they give you the question and the answers nearly about what you have to provide and what you have to show to them. And this is something that is really well designed within the MDSAP. It's really the structure of the audit to make it like fair to everyone that are participating to this audit. They are providing some procedures, some documents that are really showing exactly how this will go, what is the model, what is the approach, what is exactly the thing that will be going. So there is a website, it's the FDA website. I don't know why specifically FDA, but FDA is having all those procedures inside. We have a procedure that is talking about the audit duration calculation, how long it can take for the audit, the guideline for NC grading, also how to manage remote auditing for that. So there are a lot of things that are mentioned there. But there is one document that I will ask you to really download and look at. I'll put that on the show notes so you can really go for it, which is called the audit approach. So actually, as of today, we have the version from the 15th of April 2022. This audit approach document is really the document that you have to read. It's 200 and something pages there, 226 pages, and inside you have exactly for each each step that you will be following when you will go for an audit with your the organization that will come to audit you. They will tell you exactly, okay, we start with that, and here is the first question, the second question, the third question, etc. So as I've said to you, it's really structured in a way that it's fair to everyone. So the process, the timing, everything will be nearly the same to everyone, which makes it like more an automatic audit than something where you have to think again, what is next step, what is that step, etc. No, it's really step 1, step 2, step 3. So you go through all that. And the audit approach document is really the document that can help you for that. You have for example, for ISO, they tell you on this section, we want you to follow ISO 4.5 or ISO 7.1, etc., which is the chapter of ISO. Plus, they tell you in the US, here is the legislation that you have to follow for this section and this question specifically. And for Japan, here it is, and for this, here it is. And they give you also the additional requirements for each of the countries one by one. So it's why I'm saying this is really a document that you have to download and understand so that you can really be prepared and prepare yourself and also prepare your team for this type of audit because it's, as I've said, as it's structured, as it's transparent, as the thing is fine. So the auditor is not really wasting any time. They will go through that, they will ask you a question, and you have like not to wait 1 hour or 2 hours to provide the answer. It's like immediate. You have normally the answer already because you have prepared, if I can say, for the audit. I mean, it's the way that I'm asking you maybe to prepare that is really to already have for each question, each answers, the document or the elements that you want to provide, or multiple elements. One, the first that you will show, and the back cards, if I can say, the cards that you are keeping but hidden for the moment until they ask you specifically, and then you show them. So those things should be really prepared. And mainly, it's not something that you can do within 1 week or 2 weeks. You have really to take a little bit of time to organize that. So what we have done at Easy Medical Device is that we have created a table, so MDSAP table, where we put all those requirements for each of the steps, and we put also all the country-specific requirements, where it says for this country, they ask this, for this country, additionally, they ask that. We updated it to the latest version of the audit approach. And we are using that even with our customers. So we are also placing additional columns where we say for this question or this requirements, here is the document within the quality management system that can answer this question, and here are maybe some comments or some things to be careful of when we are answering to that, etc. So we are trying really to have this document ready. During the audit, they ask you this question, and you have already the answer, if I can say. You prepared it, so you know exactly how to answer to that or how to answer to any other thing. So you can go also to the show notes, and I'll place the link to the shop where you can get this document. As I said, you can also build this document by yourself. It's not like I ask you to purchase anything. If you want, it can help you, but you can also build that by yourself. You can just go again to the audit approach, all the 200 pages, and then you can build the documents directly and use that with your team, which is a good thing because as we have placed multiple columns, you can hide the column. For example, you say, I'm not following Japan requirements, so I hide the Japanese one, and then I focus on all the other one, etc. So this is mainly the idea for that. So, I mean, with this, it's really difficult to say that, you will be taken by surprise and get some strange question or whatever. I mean, it's really there. Maybe what can happen, and it happened to some of the customers we work with, is that the question was made in a way that we thought it's that they will like to see, but at the end, no, it was something else. So, but we were able to manage. The idea is just to be prepared as much as possible. But sometimes there can be some misunderstanding when they ask the question, because we thought, oh, it's this question, so we answer that. But no, it's not. It was not this question. It was another one, which was close to it, but not really the same here. Okay, now how do you prepare also your quality management system for integrating the MDSAP requirements there? Because as I've told you, maybe you have already a quality management system with already some procedures and everything. So how are you doing that? So first you have two options you can decide. Or you take the first option where you create one procedure for each country and say, for this country, here is the requirements for archiving. For this country, here is the requirements for significant change. For this country, here is the requirements for supplier management, etc., etc. So you define a procedure per country. I'm not really advising you to do that because it would be too much procedures, but maybe you can make a mix if really needed. You can make a mix of this and the second option, which is the option of creating one procedure, for example, for vigilance reporting, let's say. One procedure that says, here is the general common information for vigilance reporting with definition or whatever. And when I'm going to the US, here is the way I am doing the vigilance reporting. So chapter US vigilance reporting. Then when I'm going to Brazil, here is the requirements I'm following. When I'm going to Australia, here is how I will be doing that. So this is one procedure that contains all the requirements in one. Why it's better? Because when you have maybe your team that are working on vigilance reporting, maybe it's easier for them to have one procedure with all the information inside, instead of saying, oh, for that I have to go to this other one, for that I have to go to the third one, etc., which makes it like a bit like confused. But here, if you have everything at one place, it can be easier for your team then to pick the right information and say, okay, I'm selling to, this product is sold to Brazil, to FDA, to the US and to Canada. Then here are the three chapters I look at. Be careful. There are some countries that say, even if you don't sell the products in our country, you have to inform us. So you have also to look at these kind of requirements here. So this is an approach that you can take, or to make different procedures, but it will make you a lot of documents to manage, create, etc. Or one procedure that is doing that. Or you can also have one procedure with all the general requirements for each country. And then for each country, you can create a work instruction specifically for this country, where you have, for example, how to submit a vigilance reporting to this country with this address, this email address, this form, this thing, which will be more the actions, the tasks to be done, instead of the general requirements to be followed. So you can also make this kind of differences, but having one general procedure that is pointing to maybe some other documents can be helpful, but one general procedure is mainly the one that we would like you, if I can say, to create and to help. And then you can show that to the auditor and say, here is my procedure for all the countries, and they can check if the requirements are good. You have to be also careful that the links are okay, or you can also put, for information, here is the link for that, but to be verified if it's the right one or whatever. Because sometimes I have some procedures where it says, this is the link to register. When I click on the link, it goes nowhere, or the page has changed, or it's an error 404. So at the end, where should I go? And this is mainly the thing where you have also to be careful to say, okay, it's not mainly this link, this is for information, but we have to verify each time within the TGA website, FDA website, which link should be used for that, because in the meantime this can change, and not updating some procedures because it changed can also show that you have no regulatory update system also for that. So you have to be careful of all this when you have to manage multiple countries here. There are also some requirements that are maybe the worst case, as we said before. For example, Japan has, when we look at archiving of documents, Japan has the highest one, which is 15 years. So then, do you want, or is it your strategy within your company to have 15 years as the archiving timeline for your documentation, even if, for example, in Europe it says 10 years, or in the other countries it says 15 to 12 years or whatever? So you have also to look at that. Do you want to make a difference for archiving of Japanese document or this document? I mean, some documents are common, so you cannot make really any difference. So the best approach is then to say, okay, Japan is asking 15 years, so let's make 15 years for the whole company. Then we are in the safe side. They are also asking, for example, pest control in Brazil, which are really strict requirements also. So instead of saying, oh, for Brazilian, I will follow this, and for US, I will follow that. No, you try to harmonize the practices with the highest standard within the MDSAP, which will then help you, if I can say, to follow the requirements for all the other countries also. So there are many requirements like that, so additional country requirements that are provided. And if you are really managing them correctly, you will really be able to follow all of those requirements at once instead of making it different for this country or that country, because it's really difficult to manage when there is difference between each country. But if you can, as I say, find a common or an harmonized practice, this can be really helpful for you. So there are also some procedures that are really common to integrate, like the change control, for example, significant changes. You have then to go for change control and say, if I am selling these products to Brazil and I'm making this change, here are the significant change that should be considered in case I need to inform, for example, the Brazilian authority. Here is for FDA, here is for it. So there are also some procedures where you have really to look at that and say, for your team, for the change control team or design team or whatever, when they will start a change, to say, okay, maybe on the form, where is it sold? It's sold in Brazil, it's sold in the US, sold in FDA. So, okay, then is this change considered a significant change in those countries? Yes, no, etc. And then should I inform the authority, etc. So you have to have a form like that also that is integrating all the countries and all the significant changes that are considered for those countries. So these are, as I've told you, things that you cannot just implement within 1 week. You have really to implement that with your team, train your team, and also show some evidence. They will also check, for example, they can ask you, can you share with me all the change controls that you have done for your design of your products? They will check if there is a change that is significant for Brazil, but you haven't taken it into account, etc., etc. So this is also the things that are really important for you. Okay. Now, if you have never been audited for MDSAP, you have to find an auditing organization. So in Europe, we call the auditors like the notified body. In the US, it's inspectors, in the inspection from the FDA. Within MDSAP, we call that auditing organization. And an auditing organization is a company, same as a notified body, that was accredited to provide MDSAP audit certificate. So where you can then prove that you are following the audit requirements there. Something that can be good for you is that if you already have a notified body, maybe your notified body is also qualified as an auditing organization for MDSAP. It can be a chance then, because then you don't have to find another organization for that. If you have no notified body, then you can look at the list that also is on the show notes, but I'm showing that to you now, where you have all the auditing organizations that are accredited for auditing you for MDSAP. And as I said, if you are, for example, trying to sell to Europe also, try to find the same notified body or the same organization to do both audits for MDR and also for MDSAP. Then you can really save a lot of time, because you will have one organization doing everything instead of having two that will do different things there. So the list of auditing organizations is also updating. So this one is from August, if I remember, August 2022. So you can see that this list will be updated each time. So you can go back to the link that I put on the show note, and then you can check if there is another auditing organization. I suppose it's just a supposition, as we had also a lot of now workload with the European EU MDR. I don't know if this is impacting actually the MDSAP program or not, in terms of availability, in terms of people that can come to audit you directly. So I don't know for that, but you have to also take care of this information. I mean, integrate this information to your program to say there is some unknown in terms of availability. So you have to contact them, ask them, and then they can provide you the information. Okay, so now how to be prepared yourself for that. So mainly, as I've told you, you have to prepare your procedures, but then the idea is also that you should train your team to MDSAP, what is MDSAP, what are the requirements, etc., and try to get as much information as possible from that, and integrate also that the requirements and maybe the check of that within your internal audit program. So to say, I am looking at MDSAP requirements for this country or that country, you can make it one maybe audit for MDSAP, or you can make multiple audits within the multiple internal audit that you are doing, maybe integrate some MDSAP requirements there, etc. But you have to try to integrate that as much as possible within your internal audit process. So it's why having your people also trained to that can be also a good element here. You can also, I mean, for example, the ones that are audited for the first time for MDSAP, you can do what we call a mock inspection. So where we are making like it is an MDSAP audit, but it's a private organization that is doing that. So they come, they check that you are really MDSAP. They go like an auditor, asking you the question that the auditor will ask you, and then looking if the answers are okay, and then maybe adjusting what kind of answers are expected, etc. So this is something that can be also helpful for you. So Easy Medical Device, we are doing that. So we are providing this kind of service of training and also of making some mock inspections to prepare the team for those audits, because mainly, if you are well prepared, if you, as I've said, if you know in advance what kind of question will be asked, what kind of answers are expected, etc., this can help you a lot to then be confident to go to this audit, to be confident to talk with the auditor, and this can help you to be less stressed, if I can say, because it can be also a stressful situation here. Okay, so if you have any questions about MDSAP, I also have made, I made multiple videos. I remember we had also a podcast episode with MDSAP with Angelina Hakim from QNIC. So you can also look at this video that we have done together again. I don't think a lot of changed since that time. We have also made a blog article about MDSAP some time ago, so you can also look at that. So mainly, if you have some question about MDSAP, so don't hesitate, you can contact me at info@easymedicaldevice.com. And as I said, you can also look at all the show notes to get all the details about the links for the audit approach, for the auditing organization, for all those things that we talked about today. But mainly, as I've said, don't take this like it's just an additional audit. You have really to be prepared to seriously organize your team, organize your company for this kind of certification. And as usual, as soon as you are audited once for MDSAP, you have to be re-audited every year for it as a surveillance audit. So you have then to be able to show that you are maintaining your quality management system for MDSAP. So as soon as you enter this door, there is no return, if I can say. So be careful for that. Okay. Anyway, if you need support, don't hesitate. Contact me. And if you have any question, also send me this email at info@easymedicaldevice.com, and we can help you for that. Okay. It was really a pleasure to provide you this information. I wish you really a nice day.